Good morning and welcome back. It's the 9 a.m. hour of Fox and Friends Weekend, starting with this. President-elect Trump greeted with roaring applause and patriotic chants at last night's UFC fight.
Plus, the Pennsylvania Senate race triggering a $1 million recount as Democrats admit to counting illegal ballots.
And we're counting down to kickoff. The must-see NFL matchups are right here on Fox, and we've got the picks and predictions for Week 11 just ahead. The final hour of Fox and Friends Weekend starts right now. Oh, good morning and welcome to Fox and Friends on this Sunday morning. Will Cain, Rachel Campos Duffy, and Joey Jones with you on this weekend. We need to update you on a conversation we were having a little bit earlier. For some reason, we got into a debate, a little bit of a question about who the smartest animals, because I have an affinity for both pigs and donkeys. So that led to a conversation, well, who's smarter? And we have some results. It turns out the smartest, Joey, of those three is...
The pigs. Pigs are number 4 on the list. Dogs come in, this is just a random list, someone tweeted me, by the way. Dogs come in at 13. I guess donkeys are in the horse category. I'm not sure. There isn't a category for donkeys.
He's convinced that donkeys are smart. How do pigs exert their intelligence?
How do pigs exert their intelligence? I have no idea, to be honest with you.
What makes them so smart?
When I had pigs, this is what I'll tell you about pigs. When we had pigs, when you're walking the slop, which is your leftover dinner from the night before, out to the pig pen, they come running and don't get in their way. They enjoy their food. So
and
that's what I know about pigs.
Pigs have a very high EQ.
Oh, like emotional.
Yeah, they're very sensitive.
They are.
You can't scold a pig like you do a dog.
Yeah, so what you want to do...
cannot scold a pig.
You want to keep them
That's
happy right up until slaughter, and then the bacon tastes better. That's
well, there was a big night last night. We were there. Rachel and I were up very late.
Yes.
2 hours sleep for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how many for
Just
you.
a couple for me, too. But it was worth it.
Joey stayed up late watching Georgia, Tennessee. We stayed up late at UFC 309, and we weren't the only ones there. President Donald Trump walked into UFC 309.
There you see Donald Trump and his entourage, Tulsi Gabbard, Kid Rock. I saw Dan Bongino there. There was also Speaker Johnson. So he had a RFK Jr. There you see him hugging Joe Rogan, who was quite pivotal for him at the end of the election cycle there, endorsing him. This crew, most of the crew flew with him from where he was in Mar-a-Lago over to New York to attend this event. There's a picture, a really great picture I want you guys to see. There's Donald Trump with the crew eating McDonald's on the private jet. And you see RFK Jr. there. I'm not sure how he feels about McDonald's as the meal of choice on the plane.
What's he got?
That's what I'm looking at. Yeah. I want to see what RFK
What's he got?
I'm going, that looks like a fillet of fish.
Yeah, that might be his, but that might be the best choice on
He
there.
didn't get the mercury out of the fish. I mean, that was one of his things there.
That was. Let me just tell you this. I love RFK. I love what he's doing. And I love that he just was like, all right, that's what there is. My only request of RFK, in addition to all the things he's going to do not change McDonald's French fries. They are absolutely the tastiest.
No, he wants to. He wants to get them out.
I might have to have a talk with him about that.
Well, he wants to no more seed oils to take them back to beef tallow.
Oh, beef tallow fries are even better.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
That's the old school. That's the old school McDonald's fry.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go. Okay, RFK, already making America better again. Okay, I love it. Also, John Jones, who won the heavyweight championship, he, at the end of his fight, went and greeted Donald Trump, handed over his belt. Listen or watch.
It was an incredible night. It was awesome. Whole crowd shouting USA, USA. Almost every fighter, at least everyone with an American flag next to their bio, acknowledged Donald Trump sitting ringside last night, and it was a heck of a championship fight. Jon Jones with a vicious kick to Stipe Miocic. Midsection, ended the fight in a split second. And then he did the Trump dance in the middle of the octagon
Yes, he did.
giving his belt to Donald Trump.
Yeah, you know what was, we've sat here and talked about this now. This is the fourth hour because it is interesting and it's something incredibly appealing about it. But what I've come to realize is this is our generation's counterculture. That's really what it is, and it's come mainstream. I mean, you had the punk scene, you had what we call the hippies, you had maybe the 80s, 90s were the hip-hop scene. That was a bit of a counterculture.
Grunge scene.
Grunge scene, and then now you have, it's not necessarily defined by music, although music's probably close in tow. You have 76 million Americans that just voted for the counterculture, for something other than what is considered the establishment. And the establishment meaning the way pop culture has turned all these issues, all these social issues into you either are on our side or you're a villain. You either believe in this or you're a bigot. And now it's, you know, you're either on their side or in the case of our colleague Pete Hegseth, you're all kinds of terrible things.
Can I just say that the part of it was the woke culture was actually not embraced by the average American, which, by the way, in that UFC fight, that's what you saw. That was blue-collar, regular Americans all getting together to watch this very masculine, you know, event that the culture from the left has been trying to tell us is toxic. But what was really pushing this wasn't just leftist ideologues. It was corporate America that got on board and said, we're going to help push this. Somehow this is the way to go. And no matter how much they pushed it, no matter how much money was poured into woke policies, you can't question, Will, that this election was a rejection of DEI, was an election of that corporate embrace of that.
And that's why it's this weird combination of being, yes, counterculture. I think you're right. It is counterculture, but it's also the majority culture.
Yeah.
The mainstream culture, the oppressive dominant culture, actually represented a minority of the country.
Right. They just had a bigger stick to hit us over the head with.
It just seemed so irrelevant that a lot of people stayed passive on it until it worked its way into their schools and their lives.
Well, you brought up Pete Hegseth, Joey. Our friend, our colleague, former colleague, Pete Hegseth, nominated as Secretary of Defense. Now, Pete's going to bring a lot of things to that job once confirmed. Pete's going to walk into that job, I think, with the right philosophy on what the purpose of the United States military is and how to use it. But he's going to be an amazing tool when it comes to recruiting. Recruiting has been down in the military, and Pete's already been getting messages, and he's been sharing those on social media. Here's some of what he's put out that people are sending in to Pete Hegseth. Here's one. It says, it's so ironic that in the past few weeks, I've spent time with our godson who has finished in the top of his classes through his Ranger training and quickly moved up the ranks. He has been on the fence about continuing as a likely shoe-in for Delta, but is so disillusioned by the military, DEI, poor leadership, et cetera, that he's considered getting out completely. But last night, I shared Pete's news, an interview with him. He is ready to get back after it full steam. Changes like this are truly going to make a difference for our country.
Yeah, you know, the other thing that happened during this period of time under the woke military that we saw this transformation before our very eyes. And Pete, no one more than Pete was documenting it through his books and so forth. But remember during COVID, how many military people just were let go, fired essentially because they refused to take the vaccine? How many young men, and I know one personally, who wanted to go into the Navy SEALs and said, I want to go, I want to serve. And this guy is tough, the kind of guy you want to have in the military and in the Navy SEALs and specifically. He said, I don't want to join. I already had COVID. I'm not taking their experimental vaccine, and I don't want to be part of a military that would force me to do that. So these are the kind of changes that I think Pete is going to inject into this job that he's about to take. And I love that he's getting this feedback from people, because we've been hearing a lot of negative stuff, but he's been getting a lot of positive feedback, people excited. Here's another message. I know you're busy, Pete, but I wanted you to know that my 17-year-old Kyle was considering joining the Minnesota Army National Guard. And in the wake of your nomination, he decided to move forward. I think recruitment's going to shoot up because of Pete.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues. I've had this question come up to me. I do speaking engagements around the country, and people say, you know, I'm proud of military service, but I don't want my kid to go into the service. And I've told them for the last couple of years, if we, meaning sound, sane people, conservatives mostly, in my opinion, if we abandon it, who are we leaving it to?
Yeah.
If we don't send our kids that have a good compass on what's right and wrong and what we need, then whose kids are going? Who are we leaving it to? And this news of Pete being nominated, not just President Trump winning the election, but picking someone like Pete, specifically a troop on the ground perspective, that should reassure a lot of people of who we're going to leave it to.
And we need it because recruiting has been so down when it comes to serving our military. It's an honorable thing to do, and you have now someone that's going to show you that honor. One last thing, Pete put out this message. I've been getting a lot of these messages. I'm honored. America's warriors demand and deserve strength in the White House and at the DOD. Coming soon.
Yeah, you know, the DEI policies is one thing. The other thing, and I think that's what a lot of parents who were also, you know, parents are involved in that decision to enter the military. I mean, it's usually a family decision, obviously the individual. But a lot of people were, and a lot of young men too, and women were like, I don't want to be part of a military that's going to engage me in stupid wars. I have no idea what's going to happen. Donald Trump, since 2016, has run on no more stupid wars. There are people on that cabinet, you know, really important figures, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., by the way, and even our own Pete Hegseth, who say, yes, we want a strong military, but we want our military to serve the interests of the American people, not the interests of other countries, but the interests of the American people. And I think that's also a reason to be excited about joining the military. And I think it's going to shoot recruitment up when people feel like their government and their president can be trusted with the most important decision.
Let's hope so. Here's to Pete Hegseth.
Absolutely.
All right, turning our focus to Congress now. As a Pennsylvania Democrat, Bob Casey, he still decided not to concede his Senate race, despite the AP calling it more than a week ago.
And now Blue County officials there are openly defying state law by counting ballots that are missing required signatures.
Madeline Rivera is in Washington. She's got more on this, Maddie.
Hi, guys. Good morning. As Pennsylvania heads toward a $1 million recount, election officials are going through the process of deciding which votes should count. The task is not only tedious, it's contentious. Under state rules, provisional ballots must be signed in 2 places and mail-in votes must be dated. But local election officials in at least 4 counties, Bucks, Philadelphia, Montgomery, and Center, have voted to count ballots which were improperly filled out. Here's a Democratic commissioner in Bucks County explaining her decision.
I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. And there is nothing more important than counting votes.
There's been a flurry of lawsuits. Republican Dave McCormick's campaign and the Republican National Committee are asking the state Supreme Court to affirm its ruling. Democratic incumbent Senator Bob Casey's campaign, on the other hand, argues the High Court should not intervene to allow counties to make their own decisions. Casey has not conceded, even though the Associated Press called the race on November 7th, saying the outstanding ballots would not be enough for him to overtake McCormick. McCormick leads Casey by about 20,000 votes. The margin falls within half a percentage point, the threshold which under state law automatically triggers a recount. McCormick's team, however, says Senator-elect McCormick's lead is insurmountable, which the AP made clear in calling the race. A recount will be a waste of time and taxpayer money, but is Senator Casey's prerogative. Senator-elect McCormick knows it's likely to lose an election and is sure Senator Casey will eventually reach the right conclusion. But Casey's team notes 2 years ago during his GOP primary race against Mehmet Oz, McCormick sued to have improperly dated ballots count. Will, Rachel, and Joey.
Thank you, Maddie.
You got it.
But I would also distinguish one thing. While McCormick may have sued to go after those ballots, he did not defy the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's order not to count those ballots. And that's exactly what's happening. It's showing, in my opinion, the bankruptcy and the fraudulence of the saviors of democracy here, who are now in Bucks County openly defying a Supreme Court decision in Pennsylvania to not count illegal ballots. They're saying, we will count illegal ballots. Jonathan Turley, professor of law, was on with us a little bit earlier.
It is a revealing moment, and it is an honest moment where you have this official saying, I just don't care. I don't care. The highest court in my state said that these do not count. And if they count those ballots, the democratically controlled state Supreme Court will reverse it. But we will spend a lot of time and a lot of money as they try to flip this election.
I feel like there's 2 issues here. One is, I mean, there's automatic recount. Like, that's not Casey's choice to have the recount, is it? Or
He could concede the race.
if he conceded the race, then it would stop. I guess I can't sit here and criticize him for allowing that process to play out. I mean, that's his
that's a
right
fair
as a
point.
candidate. A lot of people invested in that. The other side of it, though, pushing for that in hopes that illegal ballots are what gets you across the finish
Yeah,
line.
that-
That's the part
They're necessary.
That's a
to
different
make up
issue.
the gap.
Yeah.
To
I don't
otherwise
think he's
it's
at fault
insurmountable.
for allowing this process to move forward. I put myself in this position. You work really hard at getting elected. It's such a small percentage, but it's tens of thousands. It's 80,000 votes are left. He's at a 24,000 vote deficit, and the numbers don't look like he could make it up.
Yeah, I think the voting system in general, is something that the American people want to be able to trust in. I hope maybe over the next 4 years at a state level. I've talked to independents, by the way. I know this isn't involved with the recall, the recounting here, but still so many people, even independents I know, saying, I can't believe they don't want to see my ID when I go vote.
Yeah.
So many problems with the system. I hope over the next 4 years, for all the people who care about democracy, and we all should, I hope we start with our voting system, because if we have faith in that, we can have faith in our institutions moving forward.
All right, turning now to your headlines. A family of a Hawaiian woman is seeking answers after she went missing after stopping at the Los Angeles airport on her way to New York City. Her family says she sent them a few strange texts before her disappearance, implying that someone may be trying to steal her money and identity. But her mom and sisters are questioning who actually sent those messages. Her phone was last pinged at LAX, but has since died. LAPD and the FBI are both investigating. Anti-Israel protesters marching through downtown Chicago yesterday demanding for President Biden to take action on the Israel-Hamas war.
Free Palestine! Not another nickel, not another dime! Not another nickel, not another dime! No more money for Israel's cry!
This was the 57th march in Chicago since the war began just over a year ago. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this, but I'll just a moment. Spoiler alert, I'm about to tell you what happened last night. In football, Georgia trounced Tennessee. They avenged their loss from last week, or rebounded from their loss from last week. They beat Tennessee 31-7.
Beautiful.
In the Big 12, congratulations, Joey. Travis Hunter making his case for the Heisman.
He is the Heisman.
As Colorado beat Utah 49-24.
It's just a few years ago, and Colorado taking all of that out now.
Here's the reverse trickery. Hunter steps up. Hunter dives. Touchdown, Colorado.
That's Heisman. The Buffaloes are now 8-2. And top-ranked Oregon rallying in the fourth quarter to avoid an upset. They beat Wisconsin 16-13. Plenty more football action today on Fox with a full slate beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Told you guys I got an email. This came into the Will Cain Show account, which, by the way, Will Cain Show, Fox News Digital, YouTube, and Facebook, Monday through Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Just go to willcainshow.com, and you can see the guests that are coming up, and you can subscribe where you need to. But one of our loyal fans.
Oh, you're having Dave Smith on this week?
Yes. Fascinating conversation.
Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah, very interesting.
Somebody emailed and said, tell Will he is an all-caps jerk. He ruined my Sunday. I'm a third shifter. Thank you for your hard work. I won't say your name. I had to record because I worked so hard the Georgia-Tennessee game last night. The only thing I wanted on this Sunday was to watch that, and I put the news on for 1 minute, and Will's giving us the score.
100% that's a Tennessee fan. A Georgia fan's so happy today they don't care. They'll go watch it anyway.
I would
Poor
just
guy.
say
Rocky Bottom.
This is a news show, and so we talk about what's new. And so I thought it was implied it could be a spoiler alert.
Yeah. Maybe don't turn on the news if you don't want to see what happened last night. I don't know.
Sure.
All right. Senator Marco Rubio could target Venezuelan gangs when he becomes the Secretary of State.
Congresswoman Maria Salazar has worked with him on this issue, and she's going to join us next.